So one other update related to the pandemic, and now we're probably going to get some feedback. Is that? Yeah.
Safe and accepting environments, giving students the tools they need to thrive, and teaching students to treat one another well, growing their self-esteem, and fostering students' critical thinking. And that's our student equity work. I want to remind you of the timeline. Our goal is to have our board approve, or excuse me, vote to approve a equity policy as of February 8th. What we've been doing the last few weeks is getting stakeholder feedback both internally and externally. So with this month, our goal is to finalize our draft. I want to talk to you a little bit about the feedback that we've received thus far. Next slide. The theme of our internal and external feedback is really folks are asking for more specific information in our equity policy, accountability, accessibility, and wanting to know what this will look like in practice. So if you had an opportunity to view the equity policy or the draft equity policy a few weeks ago, it has changed a little bit based on the feedback. We also have put some, I'll talk a little bit about the procedures that we have in place to address some of the feedback that we received. But the goals that we've outlined are around student learning, culture and climate, deploying resources, curriculum and evidence-based instructional practices, equity lens, and professional staff. We put these goals in place to address some of the feedback around accountability that we received. We are working on putting together, next slide, thank you. We're working on putting together an equity procedures to address some of the detail that folks are asking for, or the more information. The goals that I just shared with you, there are details outlined in our procedure to talk about how we're going to meet those needs for students. The accountability in our procedures and the policy will include board progress monitoring, school improvement plans, and student-centered equity teams. We'll also be using other structures that we have in place, like our professional learning communities and our inclusive practices project. We addressed, or we're attempting to address the accessibility piece by looking at some of the language that we're using so that it's more friendly outside of folks who are in education, as well as defining some of the terms that we mentioned in the policy. We'll help folks recognize what it looks like in practice by providing a resource guide as well as some template action plans. And really our goal is to be as transparent as possible and take your feedback and look at the themes and create plans and environments that are going to be supportive of reaching the needs for all of our students. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Janelle. I just wanted to also take a moment to recognize Dr. Sahara and Dr. Adar for representatives on the It's been a collaborative process. We appreciate it. Thank you.
So our next part of the agenda is the Employee Excellence Awards, and I would invite Kathy Everidge to recognize these staff.
Thank you, Dr. Snell. It's time to recognize the December 2021 Employee Excellence Award recipients. The following employees were selected by a committee of their peers for commitment to the students and staff of the Vancouver Public Schools. This month's recipients were among the many outstanding nominees who create a caring environment and positive workplace with an exceptional. For information about each recipient or to submit a nomination, please visit our website at vansd.org. The first recipient we are honoring tonight is Amber Beardmore. She was hired in July 2019, Associate Principal at Hudson State High School. Amber leads with empathy, compassion, integrity, and a sense of humor. Her ability to connect with others is a gift. She treats each student and staff member with kindness without fail. Each student and staff member recognize and appreciate that she takes the time to connect with them. When a student is upset, Amber helps them process their feelings and calm down. When her coworker needs support, she steps in to help and demonstrate a strong work ethic that inspires others. Those who work closely with her say that she is a tremendous asset to Bay and to everyone who interacts with her. Next, I'd like to recognize Jenny Garcia Montero. She was hired in August 2016. She is a teacher at Lincoln Elementary School. Parents and co-workers alike praise Jenny's skill for meeting the needs of each student. Her connections to her kindergarten students were a lifeline when schools were closed and during remote learning. Jenny also has provided enriching opportunities for Lincoln students and staff members to learn more about Native American and Indigenous cultures and histories. Recently, she facilitated an opportunity for every student to experience playing authentic hand drums and witness an intertribal drum performance. Said one nominator, Jenny inspires more than 5-year-olds. She's an inspiration to us all. Next, we'd like to recognize Sarah Hallgren, hired January 2009, paraeducator at Marshall Elementary. Students gravitate towards Sarah for a multitude of reasons. She creates opportunities to design and make crafts, providing tactile activities that engage her students who have unique communication needs. Sarah also has a talent for forging connections, helping her students make their needs known even when they cannot verbalize them. Her calming presence is a source of patience and compassion. As a result, her students flourish. Sarah's coworkers also appreciate her contributions as she collaborates with them to develop strategies for encouraging student communication. Next is Allison Longcar, hired March 2010, teacher at Washington Elementary. Allison is warm, patient, and enthusiastic about her students and teaching, said her nominator. That enthusiasm recently manifested in a science project where her first grade students had an opportunity to learn about animals through reading and research. In collaboration with a parent, Allison devoted a considerable amount of time to crafting a unique learning experience that her students loved. She also is planning a lesson that will challenge her students to apply their engineering and math skills, said her nominator. She is an inspiration to us all.
And finally, I'd like to recognize Carla Van Allen. She was hired September 2015, paraeducator at Vancouver iTech Preparatory. From supporting students as they make plans to get back on track to celebrating their learning achievements, Carla is invested in positive outcomes for iTech students. She's been known to coach two best friends as they work through an argument, serve as a referee for impromptu wall ball contests, build garden boxes, help with projects, and learn alongside students. From arrival to dismissal, Carla is an expert in all the operational details of the school. Her hard work helps make iTech a place where everyone can thrive. Congratulations to all of our December award recipients. Thank you, Kathy.
Are we allowed to clap now?
So we're going to take a brief recess while we fine tune the audio for our Zoom participants. So just give us about 5 minutes. Thank you. I spoke too soon. We are good. So now is the time in our meeting when we provide an opportunity for public comments. I am speaking into the mic, thank you.
You need to get closer.
I am speaking into the mic, thank you.
You can't hear me.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
I can hear you. It's very muffled through these masks.
Okay.
And the mic is
So-
muffled even more.
I'm, before we continue, I just want to remind everyone that mask requirements are a legal requirement in the state of Washington. And we will comply with that requirement. Thank you. I'm also going to ask that we minimize the disruptions to the meeting. We're So with continued disruptions, we will be recessing the meeting and reconvening via Zoom if we have continued disruptions. I'd like to start with public comments. If we could please keep audience comments quiet. Thank you. This is the portion of the meeting where we have public comments. We will be starting with Zoom public comments, and then we will be continuing with in-person public comments. I do ask, this is a board meeting, I ask that we not cheer, boo, just let's keep it respectful and supportive so everybody feels welcome to provide public comment in our meeting space. So, citizen comments is the time in our meeting where the board and administrative staff like to hear comments from the public. If you wish to address the board and did not have an opportunity to sign in at the start of the meeting, please do so now. Because most matters require fact-finding and review, the board is not able to respond to any public comments made at this time. Additionally, the state's Open Public Meetings Act restricts deliberation on topics that have not been placed on the publicly noticed agenda in advance. If follow-up action is necessary, the board will ask the superintendent to work with the administrative staff to consider the information and respond accordingly. As a regular business meeting of the board, we expect the audience to conduct themselves professionally and courteously. Additionally, speakers are expected to be respectful. The board asks that personnel complaints of any kind be submitted in writing. Disruptive conduct may cause the meeting to be adjourned and all audience members will be removed. We ask that you approach the podium and state your name for the record. Please also state your affiliation with the district. We will have 3 minutes to make your comments. If you hear a chime, please conclude your remarks. If you have materials or additional comments you would like the board to review, please hand them to the staff in the back of the room. The information will be provided to the superintendent and the board. We appreciate, we listen, and we care about the broad range of perspectives in our community. We thank you for your comments. If we could please silence the cell phones too, that would be helpful. So our first public comment via Zoom is Sherry Fitzpatrick.
Okay, now can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
State your name.
Okay, I was trying to get the audio on. This is Cherie Fitzpatrick. I'm a retired teacher with Vancouver Public Schools. And I'm turning my time over to LaDonna Kirkpatrick because I couldn't be there in person. And before I turn it over to her, I just want to say to everybody on the board, I think you all are doing a fabulous job. And I sincerely appreciate you as a citizen and as a former teacher. So I'm going to relinquish my time to LaDonna Kirkpatrick.
Thank you very much. Next, we will go for, start with LaDonna Kirkpatrick. Wendy Moose, please.
My name is Wendy Moose, and I'd like to donate my time to LaDonna Kirkpatrick.
Thank you. Next up, Mary Ball, excuse me.
I'm Mary Ball. I've got 2 grandkids, one at Chinook, one at Skyview, who live with me. And I just want to tell you that I support your testing. Hope it comes sooner than later. And I also wanted to thank you because I'm very high risk for COVID. Their mother is very high risk for COVID. We vaccinated, we mask, and I want to thank you for doing all you do to protect my family. I donate my time to LaDonna Kirkpatrick.
Thank you. Just for clarification purposes, if you plan to yield your time, you yield your time in entirety, just for clarification purposes. So at this point, we have LaDonna Kirkpatrick, and you will have 9 minutes.
I am LaDonna Kirkpatrick, and I'm a parent. It has come to my attention that there are people who believe that my comments about mask wearing were anti-Semitic and aimed at only one person last month, and I want to tell you that is completely untrue. I may be new to standing here to show my support for public health, but speaking out in support of public health is not new for me. I have been doing this ever since my youngest daughter contracted a virus.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Sir, you may not use a camera sitting there. We have a space for recording devices. Sir, no, I'm sorry. We have space for media and we have a space for media and recording devices in the back of the room. Sir, I'm asking you to please. Okay. Unfortunately, you give me no choice. Consistent with RCW.
What is going on? She's telling you. An opportunity to help the community on something else.
Could you excuse me? 42.030.050, due to a public disturbance of a duly noticed public governing body regular meeting, the board of directors will recess for 60 minutes. We will reconvene via Zoom. The public Zoom link is available on the district website and our published agenda. So we will reconvene at 6:50. Anyone who has signed up for public comments will be called. Anybody that is on the list for public comments will be called via Zoom if you'd like to share your comments. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. We are reconvening after a 60-minute recess. We are waiting for all of our participants to populate here into our Zoom session. So we're going to give it about another half a minute and then we'll get started. Thank you. So it looks like everyone is back. I appreciate everyone's patience and I apologize for the interruption. We did have to recess the meeting due to a disruption in the boardroom. And we are reconvening via Zoom. Where we left off in our agenda tonight is with public comments. So I have already read the script for kind of what our expectations are with public comments. I just want to remind everyone that we do ask for civility and respect. Personnel complaints need to be submitted in writing. Additionally, no personal attacks. I'm going to go ahead and get started where we left off, which is with LaDonna Kirkpatrick.
Right, promoting now.
LaDonna, once you're ready, if you can turn on your camera and unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to start off on my second paragraph. I may be new at standing here to show my support for public health, but speaking out in support of public health is not new to me. I have been doing it ever since my youngest daughter contracted a virus that could have been prevented only if Clark County had a higher vaccination rate. Try to imagine a 4-month-old baby gasping for air, struggling to breathe as she battled pertussis, commonly known as whooping cough. Every single time my daughter coughed, she would turn blue and even sometimes gray. She struggled to breathe and was unable to nurse. Luckily, we had good insurance and she was admitted to OHSU where she received excellent care. We had to hold her down to have IVs put in, feeding tubes, breathing treatments, and suction done. She stayed in the hospital in critical care for 4 days. She improved, then got worse again. Less than 24 hours after being discharged, she was admitted back for several more days. The worst part was knowing that this virus was almost eradicated once, but the anti-vax movement in the US brought it back, like it's done with measles. Pertussis is not known to be harmful to healthy kids or adults. We get vaccinated to protect the vulnerable, infants, the elderly, and the immunocompromised. We used to anyway. More and more people these days are too selfish to consider the safety of others. And that nearly killed my daughter before she even learned how to crawl. We wear masks to protect others. We get vaccinated to protect ourselves and others. People at this lectern love to point out that COVID only affects a small percentage of kids. Consider what they're saying. They won't lift a finger for a statistically insignificant number of children they don't know. I wonder if they think COVID is insignificant to kids who develop it and their parents. What percentage would actually motivate these people to do the bare minimum here? I am here to tell you from experience, we should be doing everything we can to push that number as close to zero as possible. Instead, we have to sit here through an exhausting parade of misinformation and complaints about fabric and needles every month. Kids carry the virus asymptomatically as adults do, COVID virus that is, transmitting it through the community and their families, which amounts to playing Russian roulette with people's lives. 5.31 million are dead from this virus. So yes, I do stand here to support public health mandates. We have also had a COVID death in our family. She was in her early 50s and in average health. She died waiting for her COVID test results, discovered in her shower one morning. An autopsy revealed COVID had caused an embolism. She left behind 4 adult children along with 2 very young grandchildren who will never be uplifted by her contagious optimism or grown about her corny sense of humor. Unsurprising, she worked in a warehouse where the leadership did not take COVID safety seriously. We can't know for sure whether adequate safety measures would have prevented her death, but it would have been nice if it would have been attempted. The first time I came here, I was shocked to see the misinformation and the anger being directed at the board, and I admired their composure through all of it. I speak every month because I want the board to know there are reasonable people out there who support your service to our community. I get messages every month support from the community members who admire what I am doing. They tell me they wish they could get up here and talk, but they are scared of the harassment which follows when you speak against a small but extremely belligerent group, which honestly they should be. Moving on, I support adding more COVID test sites. Every month, parents have complained here. Testing is hard to get, takes too long. Kids are missing too much school. You guys heard them and have endeavored to make it easier and faster. The first time my son got sick this year, we took him to a local pharmacy to get tested. We had to wait for an appointment, which took a few days, then a few more days to get the test results back. All in all, he missed 8 days of school. The second time he got sick, you guys had just opened your first drive-through testing site here on the campus of the school board meetings. And campus. It was easy and we had the results in less than 48 hours. A marked improvement, and this is good for our community. Please continue to do what's in your ability to meet this demand. I also care about public health and education, and I want to see that intact. I have 2 small children whose education I want to protect. I am happy to see schools teaching and helping kids understand what they are seeing in the world around them. As I said last month, we as parents may not always agree with every teacher, every test, or every lesson. Most of us understand the benefits of free quality education and understand it comes with trade-offs. Those disagreements give us ample opportunity to pass important life lessons to our children. Opportunities to discuss these topics with them, challenge them to form their own opinion and to defend it. With that said, I hope everyone in this room has a happy holiday and a happy new year, and thank you. I'm done.
Kyle, I think you're muted.
Excuse me. Thank you very much. I just want to do a quick reminder before we continue. We're going through our list of people who signed up for public comment in our in-person meeting, that you need to log in or make sure that your name appears the way you signed up so we can easily find you and promote you to panelist. The next individual is Kathy Carr.
Promoting.
Kathy, you've been promoted to panelist, so you can unmute yourself and turn on your camera, state your name, and then you may begin when you're ready. Okay, we will go to the next person on the list.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. So I'm glad to know that we're talking about the Open Public Meetings Act. That's what I want to talk about tonight. I wasn't given a chance to talk last meeting because it was canceled and it wasn't re-adjourned. And so, of course, the book is quite lengthy. And I'm just going to point out a couple points about it to keep it to the time frame. It says the purpose of this board and other boards was set forth by Legislature Chapter 250, Senate Bill 485, Open Public Meetings Act. This very board exists to aid in the conduct of the people's business. It is the intent of this act that their actions be taken openly and that their deliberations be conducted openly. This board violated the act when they adjourned on November 9th and did not return to conduct the people's business, but instead denied due process to parents waiting to address this board. And something that happened tonight, I want to bring up, that's right from the book. It says there is no legal basis for prohibiting the audio or videotaping of a meeting unless the taping disrupts the meeting. If the governing body enacted such a rule, it essentially would be conducting or conditioning attendance at the meeting and not recording the meeting. This would be contrary to RCW 42.30.040, which prohibits the governing body from imposing any condition on attending public meetings. And then I want to close with, it also states that the board has been trained on this act within 90 days of taking office and taking their oath, which the first oath is listed as upholding and defending the Constitution of the United States, which there is no law, mandate, or ordinance can override our constitutional rights. And if there is, it is considered lawless. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Katie Bauer.
Promoting.
Ms. Bauer, you have been promoted. You may state your name and begin when you're ready.
Looks like the audio is still pending there. There we go.
I think you're muted at this point. So it shows that you are still muted. I'm going to give you a second. I'm going to move to the next person if you're okay with that. And
Maybe we can just have her be on hold and then
Okay.
go to
Yeah.
the new speaker, and then Katie will loop back to you.
Great.
There should be a bar in the bottom left corner. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
the next individual is Michael J. Linneo.
All right, promoting.
I'm Mike Gelenio, and I'm yielding my time to Sally Snyder. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Marlena Shaw.
Promoting.
Ms. Shaw, you've been promoted. You may state your name and you can begin when you're ready. Ms. Shaw, if you're able to hear us, if you could please unmute and start your video, we are ready for you. So our next individual is Sally Snyder.
I see two presents by that name currently. I'm not sure which one it will be.
Jefferson, it looks like there's only one now.
I think one was promoted.
Can you hear me?
We can. It looks like you have some feedback. Perhaps you're connected on multiple devices. It probably will be more effective if we're just connected on one.
Well, I couldn't get any device to work. Can you hear me now?
Yes, there's quite an echo. So if you proceed, I just want you to know there's quite an echo. There's feedback. You're promoted as panelists. There's an additional.
Kyle, I'm going to promote her now. Actually, I just granted some permission to talk, so she should have video in a moment.
Okay. So are we promoting Sally Snyder to panelist?
There seems to be a bit of a delay there.
So at this point, Jefferson, I'm going to need just some input. We're waiting on Sally Snyder. I see one list under the attendees. Are we able
And
to
Kyle, not to interrupt, but it looks like Katie Bauer was able to unmute and is connecting to audio again. So we have both of those people. Looks like Katie Bauer is now back on, but muted.
Okay. Ms. Bauer, if you would like, we'll circle back. Thank you, Jeff, for noticing that. Okay.
Katie, are you getting the pop-up as I'm prompting to unmute you there, or is nothing coming up? You are seeing that. If you click it, does nothing happen? Gotcha. It keeps removing it on you for some reason. Are you joining via browser? Are you using the Zoom clients? Do you know? Or else it's hard to answer when you can't talk. Yeah, we may not have luck there. There might be a bug in place for this particular one.
Okay. Ms. Bauer, if you wanted to use the chat feature to communicate with the panelists, please do so. We'll keep you on hold, on standby. And we will move on to Sally Snyder.
Do another promote attempt there.
So I no longer see Ms. Snyder on the list.
She vanished as a promoter, but no luck yet for her showing up in panelists on this list.
We will loop back to all of these individuals that are not able to connect at this point. Next on our list is Dawn Benton, please.
Promoting?
Thank you, Mr. Benton. You have 3 minutes. Please unmute and start your video when you're ready.
Hopefully you can hear me.
We can.
Thank you very much. President Sproul and board members, Dr. Snell and staff, my name is Don Benton, and I own property close to the iTech High School on the back of the WSU property at Northeast 50th Avenue and 159th Street. I drove down to come before you tonight representing several of my neighbors who also live close by. First, we want you to know that most of us are very happy to have you for neighbors. We love to see the activity and the excitement of the youth in our neighborhood. It's a perfect and very safe environment with a private elementary school just north 2 blocks, as I'm sure you know, and the Battleground School District has another elementary and middle school just to the south 4 or 5 blocks. Our biggest concern up to now has been increased traffic and the safety concerns around that. Hopefully, the county will do a better job with that going forward. But that has all changed. Our world has been shattered. Our children and our grandchildren and all of the children that you're responsible for at iTech are being put in harm's way deliberately and without good reason. And I'm here tonight to ask you, as our elected representatives, to fight for the safety of our children and our teachers. Many of you know me, I'm not an alarmist, but I want you to be aware, and were you aware, is the real question, that the state of Washington has purchased the land directly across the street from iTech and is planning on building a 48-bed mental jail for the mentally unstable. I would say criminally insane, which is the accurate definition the DSHS spokesman described. However, some may think that term to be too insensitive, albeit accurate. These are the facts as described to the neighbors by DSHS personnel that attended the open house at WSU 3 weeks ago. Quote, people who plead not guilty by reason of insanity will be jailed here during trial and after in a 48-bed, 3-building facility surrounded by 12-foot fences. Incredibly, there will be no guards, according to DSHS. So, and please, Dr. Snell, ask your staff to research the DSHS track record on protecting their neighbors from the inmates in these facilities. It is a horrendous record. All of us, you included, have a very legitimate reason to be very concerned for the safety of those we are responsible for. Remember Earl Schreiner's horrific crimes. Now, please, none of us deny the need for more mental health facilities, nor do any of us lack the empathy for families who have a loved one who suffers from mental illness. But no one with any common sense or concern for safety.
Mr. Benton, time has passed. I appreciate your comments.
I understand that. I've got 21 people that would yield their time that were with me at the meeting tonight. I'm going to close in 15 seconds if you allow me courtesy.
Okay, please.
No one with any common sense or concern for safety would say that this location is a good fit. In fact, it doesn't even fit by their own criteria. All we are asking the board to do is to direct your administration to notify the county and the state that you oppose the conditional use permit that will be required to site this dangerous facility in this neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Can you please tell me?
I just wanted to look, we have, I don't see Miss Katie Bauer. I do see a Sally Snyder. Let's promote Ms. Snyder.
Promoting?
welcome. You are, please unmute and you have 6 minutes.
Can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay, I should have 9 minutes because Marlena Shaw was yielding her time to me and none of us can get logged in. The chat's not working for us to talk to you. So she couldn't get her audio to work.
Okay, please proceed with 9 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Parents have found their voice and will no longer remain silent. Why do you think 55,000 parents in Washington have pulled their kids out of public school? When you come after our children, you have crossed the line. The shady dealings going on behind parents' backs are being noticed. For me, this started with the vaccine clinic Columbia River hid from parents, only sending vaccine clinic information to the kids' school emails, along with the vaccine appointment information for the kids to fill out themselves, completely leaving parents out of the picture. Public records requests revealed the district knew about the vaccine partnership 3 weeks in advance, yet only after the bus left River and after the vaccine clinic had started did the district send an email notification out to the parents regarding this COVID vaccine clinic. The shady dealings are still happening, as seen by the December 1st article in the Columbian titled Vancouver Schools to Host COVID Test Sites, and the district's flash alert saying plans were on hold for school sites. That's 22 school parking lot sites to be exact. Pods for the clinics were delivered to TJ and Alki that very morning on December 1st. It's interesting how very few people knew anything about this when parents called the district office and the schools. I ask you, why? Keeping parents in the dark goes against the district's mission statement of in partnership with home. The district just continues to disregard this. I emailed the school board on December 1st. I specifically asked why parents didn't know anything regarding a partnership with Embry Health for 22 COVID testing clinic sites at schools. I received this response from our board. The potential partnership with Embry Health and our decision to pause that partnership was discussed this past Tuesday, November 30th in our board study session. I watched the board study session. There was absolutely no discussion regarding a decision to pause that partnership. It was actually said in the meeting, we are in the process of formalizing an agreement. Just more lies. As of last Friday, the board members claim they are not aware of which 22 schools were slated for COVID parking lot testing clinics. Maybe someone here tonight could let us know. In the district's flash alert, December 1st, it states, with the help of Clark County Public Health, the district is vetting possible partners, but has not yet finalized any partnerships. I have an email dated December 2nd from Marissa Armstrong, the Senior Communications Specialist with Clark County Public Health Department. She states, Clark County Public Health is not involved with those proposed testing sites, so we don't have any information about them. More lies from the district, as they do not have the help of Clark County Public Health. Has the board looked at the job postings for Embry Health for these Vancouver school positions? In the board meeting November 30th, the board stated these would be certified healthcare professionals doing COVID testing, and they were all excited. The job postings actually say administers COVID-19 and other immunizations, runs in-house rapid antigen tests and posts the results to the patient portal, collect throat and or nasal swab specimens, uses software for patient charting and databasing. What exactly are you planning for? A statewide COVID vaccine database? It's been stated many times at school board meetings, we don't want COVID mobile testing sites in any schools. Why would the district encourage sick public onto closed campuses of school sites to get COVID tested when there are many locations all throughout Clark County? Hiding these 22 mobile testing sites from parents is no different than hiding the vaccine clinic where kids were bused from Columbia River to Ridgefield. How much money is the district receiving to implement these? With all the problems going on at Geyser Middle School, it is shocking the district would encourage the public onto closed school campuses. In the board meeting November 30th, Mr. Snell stated they are exploring with Clark County Public Health the number of quarantines and how to maximize the number of days kids are in school. They had a conference call regarding what kind of data does the health department need from the school? What is going on here? As parents, why don't we get to help with the decision making and determine the number of days our kids get to remain in school? It's interesting how the district gets to negotiate this. It was also brought up test to stay and stay in school. I assume this is the DOH test to return program. The board already supports forcing unvaccinated kids who want to play sports and be in performing arts into COVID testing 2 times a week in order to participate this winter. Will all kids have to test 2 times a week at these mobile clinics in order to even attend public school? I'm sure all of you saw the video of OSPI Superintendent Chris Reichdahl at the Washington Directors Conference last month. He was laughing regarding forced vaccinations of pre-K through 12th grade. He said it will start as early as next spring, or for sure by fall of next school year. So if your child is not vaccinated for whatever reason, is the plan to have them COVID test twice a week in order to attend school? I would like a response in writing by the end of this week from each board member regarding an explanation of how you are going to vote on forced COVID vaccination of kids to attend public school. Will you support this or not? Parents need time to prepare before this potentially starts in the spring. I want to know where you stand and not hear about this from the Columbian or receive an email after the fact, like what happened with the vaccine clinic you hid from parents at River. Kids rarely are hospitalized with COVID. They have a 99.97 recovery rate. Does it make sense to push COVID vaccination of kids? This question is answered in the video at askhealthyquestions.com. askhealthyquestions.com. I'll leave you with this thought. If your healthy child is unvaccinated and plays basketball and wrestling, that's over 50 COVID tests in less than 6 months. Why do you think this is okay? This board is forcing psychological damage onto children. Has anyone in this room had over 50 COVID tests in less than 6 months? Now that a vaccine mandate is coming for all students, is forced COVID testing of all kids the plan going forward? Is this why you need 22 parking lot COVID testing sites? You are part of the problem, not part of the solution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next on our list, we have Gavin Huckins, please.
Promoting.
Can you hear me?
We can, thank you. Please state your name and you'll have 3 minutes when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Gavin Huckins. A lot of what I say is going to kind of echo Don Benton, and I would have happily yielded my time had I known how this operates. However, hello, Vancouver Public School District Board. You manage and are responsible for the iTech school on the northeast corner of the WSU Vancouver campus at 159th and 50th Avenue. Today, in the meeting, we even recognized one of the teachers there for an Employee Excellence Award. for the month. The iTech school happens to be across the street from the proposed DSHS behavioral health facility for the criminally insane. DSHS has changed their story and plans numerous times of what this facility will be comprised of and what the full description of its purpose is. One constant, however, is their plan to have this as a court-ordered lock-up facility for mentally unstable people who pose an immediate threat to themselves or others. Their most recent claim is that now there is no longer plans for guards or a razor wire fence at the facility. There will just be a high fence around the facility now. Would it be safe to say that that one of the top priorities for you as a board and the community is the safety of our students, our staff, and our families? Would it be fair to insist the district take a position against this location for the facility? We don't need another horrific case like Earl Schreiner. Please look him up if you do not know what we are talking about. DSHS has failed on too many occasions to protect our community, and now this. So it is up to all of us, and that includes you, the school board, to use the power of the district to fight this location. It is unsafe, it violates common sense, and there are many better options for locations. We're not saying that these are not needed facilities, it just needs to be better planned out. We are asking you, the board, to take action to specifically do 3 things, please. Oppose the site of this facility publicly in pursuit of our collective safety, and especially the safety of the kids. Officially notify the county, please, and the state of your opposition to the site and the conditional use permit that is needed for this facility. Since DSHS has flown under the radar with this entire project, time is of the essence, so please act fast. Could you please affirm your decision tonight or very soon to protect our children and in the coming weeks? I don't know how this process works, so could you give me any indication if we will hear back as far as addressing this issue?
Thank you so much. We don't, as I said in the script, we don't respond in public comments, but we can ask someone to follow up with you.
Thank you.
Next on our list is Sandra Tobias.
Looks like they are not present, nor are the others, down to Richard Erickson. He is present.
Okay, I will flag Ms. Tobias. We will start with Richard Erickson then. Okay, you indicated through Richard Erickson, just clarification.
Correct, he is here. If I set the promote command, it should be showing up as a panelist here momentarily.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Erickson. Please turn on your camera if you're comfortable, and you may and unmute yourself, please. You may start. Please state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Michael was yielding 3 minutes to me, so I need 6 minutes at least. Can you hear me?
Michael J. Linneo yielded his time to Ms. Sally Snyder.
You may mean Michael Frazier, who I do not have in the attendee list.
Okay. Please proceed with 6 minutes.
You've been hearing so many concerns parents have over the past few months and tonight. COVID-19 has created more problems than anybody can keep count of these days. I know you want to take the appropriate actions in keeping our children safe, so I want to provide you with some additional information. Promoting hysteria and fear on a new rapidly spreading Omicron strain of the virus is just foolish and goes against science and logic. A new Danish study published last month finds masks didn't protect wearers from COVID infection. To conduct the study, scientists at the University of Copenhagen recruited more than 6,000 participants who tested negative for COVID immediately before the experiment, and the researchers had hoped the masks would cut the infection rate by half among wearers compared to those that did not wear masks, but instead the difference was statistically insignificant. These findings are directly at odds with the CDC, which recently endorsed the view that face coverings protect individuals from contracting the virus. Additionally, several other studies have also revealed that PPE and masking were essentially ineffective within the healthcare setting. Healthcare workers were double vaccinated, yet masking policies in our school, it's spread to them and their patients. Will current masking policies in our schools have a different outcome, or just be detrimental by hindering the teaching and learning process? Official policy should concentrate on improving low test scores and concentrate on a core curriculum of standard subjects such as math, English, language arts, science, and social studies, including history. A return to common sense based on science would yield far more success in winning the fight to reduce deaths caused by COVID-19. Coercing a vaccine on a population without considering all the science and is failing to update the data and policies, it's not being governed wisely. Data does not clearly suggest vaccinating children saves lives, but it does add a small significant risk to each individual. For the youngest generation, sensible policy and good medical practice should adhere to the Hippocratic oath to protect life and do no harm. There is no scientific evidence supporting vaccinating all those under 17 will improve any statistics. Personal physicians should be allowed to practice medicine on an individual medical basis. Balancing potential benefit against possible harm is essential to good medical practice and public health policy. Children are clearly already safe from the severe effects of COVID-19 as reported from the CDC data. It is clear from the data and available science, children have a strong natural immunity that is already largely protected from the severe effects of COVID-19, the seasonal flu, and the common cold. Even a very small risk outweighs potential benefit when vaccinating tens of millions of school-aged children. And we know from all past pandemics, the natural progression of pandemic transforms into an epidemic, and from an epidemic, which we no longer have, we don't have an epidemic or a pandemic. It's more like an endemic. We're rapidly approaching this stage. Mueller's ratchet, if you're not familiar with it, suggests that RNA viruses mutate so rapidly that the virulence always decreases. And we saw that happen in the 1918 influenza pandemic. COVID-19 now has multiple animal reservoirs that have allowed mutation in about 5% of the spike proteins of Omicron. This jump to animal reservoirs has been occurring globally for more than a year now. Last month, the San Diego Zoo reported that it had 3 different animals, tigers, that had contracted COVID, and they've already vaccinated 250 of their animals, and this is occurring throughout the US. The COVID-19 virus and its most transmissible variants are here to stay. The animal reservoir is widespread and is likely the origin of the Omicron strain, as evidenced from the 33 spike protein mutations. These mutations are likely the result of multiple cross-species transfers before infecting humans. The saving grace of this is that although highly transferable between humans, it also appears to be less virulent to help even to most individuals. Children are very resistant to severe effects from COVID. If Omicron spreads rapidly as predicted, will it supplant the spread of other COVID variants circulating in the population? Just as important studies show that recovered patients, especially the previously unvaccinated in the population, will have a natural immunity from reinfections and earlier strains. I consider it a distinct possibility that science may eventually uncover that the natural immunity protection from recovered Omicron infections may be more protective than present vaccines from all future infections. Omicron heralds the progression of COVID-19 to the coming stage. I think I have another sentence here. Stage of the virus that will give year after year asymptomatically to individuals and result in isolated outbreaks. It'll never go away, but likely become the most common of cold viruses that circulate year round. Thank you for your time. I think you know that there's been a lot of miscommunication.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to, was there a Sandra Tobias, Tyler Castle, Bobby Evenson, or Alan Addington?
On that front.
There were no, okay.
Nope.
I do see one Bobby. Sorry, I think I mistyped. So Bobby is in the list. If we could please promote her to panelist.
Promoting now.
Thank you. When you're ready, you may start. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. Can you see me? I can see myself now. Okay. Hi, I'm Bobby. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you all. I got an email from the school on Thursday, and it was saying that the board will be voting on the new equity policy in February. That's 8 weeks from now. In the original press release in June, there were statements saying that we would have opportunities to do surveys, more than one, workshops, and listening sessions. And I know that there was a workshop. I wasn't invited. I don't know how we were supposed to get in on that. I wasn't able to get to the listening section, but I did do the survey, and I saw that the summary report of some of the responses, there were a lot of questions. I felt that the original report was pretty vague. I understand that there's going to be a reading of it at the next January board meeting. And I just feel like there's not the inclusion that the equity program is promoting. I feel excluded. I believe I'm a stakeholder because I'm a parent, I'm a taxpayer, a community member. The rough draft of the equity policy was really confusing to me. There were some things in it that I spoke with Kyle about at an original meeting that sounded positive. But I don't understand a lot of it. And I feel like there needs to be a little bit more communication. And here, this is my only opportunity to talk to you guys, and I don't get a response. And there's got to be a lot of people out there that haven't even seen it or really know what the changes are going to be. I want more examples. I want a little more discussion. I feel like it's a little early to be voting on something this big. And I would like the opportunity to be involved. So that's what I have to say. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. I just wanted to double check here. As a reminder, if you are signed up that you signed up in the in-person meeting. Make sure that your login matches how you signed in. The next person on the list is Megan Gabriel.
So they are not present. Well, Melanie is.
We can go ahead and promote Melanie, please.
Promoting.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay, my mom's with me. She said that she was going to yield her time to me since she did sign up.
Can she pop in real quick and just state her name and announce her yielding?
Yeah, my name is Megan Gabriel and I'm yielding to my daughter Melanie.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm Melanie Gabriel. It's been a long school year, a long, exhausting school year. I've put up with mass cases of bullying from students, staff, board members, and parents, as well as my personal social media being attacked. The harassment carried further than just nasty looks and mean comments. I'd get called a Nazi and a white fascist. People would threaten to beat me up and send me death threats. Their words quickly turned to actions. Food and trash were thrown at me from bus windows, and students seeking me out to, quote, F me up. Parents would contact groups like Antifa to fight against me, at the time a 13-year-old girl. The fear I felt when I went to school is nothing like I've ever gone through before. I wouldn't wish this experience on my greatest enemy. On top of all of this fear and bullying, I couldn't even go to normal school. Extracurricular activities and school dances the same way everyone else did. I've never wanted to be normal. I've always thought that being weird was cooler and more outgoing. But when everything was taken from me, all I wanted was to be normal. I'd risk my life just for a chance to be normal again. And I did. I went to school risking my life every day just to get a little bit of normalcy back. I fought long and hard, and I'll walk away torn and tired like a soldier after battle. I've seen friends come and go, and I risked my life for something I believe in, an equal and fair education. You've lost this battle, facing lawsuits and recalls. I hope to see your white flags waving. If not, I will not hesitate to recall each and every one of you, attached with lawsuits. If you're not aware of what you've gotten yourself into and need more help raising your flags, give me a moment to enlighten you. Each right that you violated can lead to a $1,000 fine and 1 year of imprisonment. That doesn't cover the bodily harm fines. So unless you want a $10,000 fine or up to 10 years in prison, I suggest you all confess about your involvement. If you honestly had no choice in the events that I've brought up time after time, you can get away from these fines and point me to the person who's really responsible for the decision makings. You're breaking federal laws and your actions have consequences. I shouldn't be the only one to suffer from your crimes. And then I've got the petition for grievances here, which I did hand out to each and one of you on the board. You should have received that. So I'm just gonna read it. This is okay. Vancouver School District, under your authority, this is to inform you of your grievances that you are operating outside of best interests of the people of Vancouver, Washington. You are a servant of the people and required by well-established laws to uphold your oath of office. Yeah. 1, you've deprived offspring of their rights through intimidation and physiological warfare for the compliance of unlawful medical advice by licensed and unlicensed personnel with no medical certification. 2, you've acted outside of your oath of office by illegally and unlawfully denying all offspring in Vancouver, Washington of their constitutionally protected unalienable right to breathe freely and to peacefully assemble without restriction by unlawfully demanding they wear a medical device known as a mask, social distancing, or being subjected to an experimental gene therapy injection with unknown future repercussions. 3, you've created undue suffering, cognitive dissociation, and have discriminated and humiliated against offspring and their parents for their choices not to follow governmental unjust, unlawful, and unfounded mandates not supported by legislation or well-established law and scientific and medical facts, causing continued mental abuse and assault through and intimidation of unfounded scientific controlled studies. 4. Social unrest has been created by following the propaganda being distributed and used to create mass fear, discrimination, and violence by less informed and in retaliation to those cognizant and well-founded principles in science and law. 5. You have knowingly and willingly engaged in domestic terrorism through coercion and intimidation by promoting unfound logic and propaganda to the masses throughout the Vancouver School District. 6. Please consider this a FOIA request for your oath of office, risk management company, Intimity bond carrier, and policy number as director and board member of the Vancouver School District. 7. This petition for grievances shall be responded to within 10 business days of its recipient. Any correspondences shall be mailed to the addresses listed. 8. Those who knowingly and willingly refuse to abide by or provide the above-mentioned information shall and will be held in their professional and private capacity to the fullest extent the law will allow. Given the facts provided within this petition for grievances, I conclude that any and all unlawful actions taken by the board
Time.
Thank you very much. That concludes our public comment portion for the night. I did look through the list and I do not see, there were 2 names that did not appear. Thank you everyone for your participation. We are moving on to our regular portion of the agenda. We are starting with the approval of minutes from July 13th, a regular board meeting, August 10th, a regular board meeting, August 12th, a special board meeting, and August 17th, a special board meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I will go forward and vote unless there's questions or concerns. Okay, Director Barrows.
Approve.
Director Decker.
Approve.
Director Smith.
Approve.
Director Zavala Ortega.
Approve.
And I also approve. Thank you. So next we have our consent agenda, both instructional and administrative support services and the fiscal support services. Just as a reminder for those watching at home, we do review our contracts in a workshop the month prior. So this was reviewed, I believe, on November 16th. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. I will proceed with a vote unless there's any questions or concerns. Okay, Director Barrows.
Approve.
Director Decker.
Approve.
Director Smith.
Approve.
Director Zavala.
Approve.
And I also approve. Thank you very much. For our regular business agenda, we have recommendation. I'm going to turn this over to Jeff. Dr. Snell, excuse me.
Yeah, this is a recommendation to approve a contract with SEIU, and you can see the details in the rationale here that I pulled up on the screen as well.
directors have had a chance to review this in advance. Do I have a motion for this item?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns from directors? Okay, I will move forward with the vote. So Director Barrows,
Approve.
Director Decker,
Approve.
Director Smith,
Approve.
and Director Zavala.
Approve.
And I also approve. Thank you, everyone. So the next item on the agenda is our Board of Director report. Just want to make sure.
I believe we have two readings, first readings.
I apologize. What I was seeing on the screen did not match necessarily, so I
Yeah, I'm
apologize.
seeing a different agenda. There's the naming of the Early Childhood Center.
Yes.
Yeah, I pulled up the wrong one, so I'm going back to the correct one
okay.
here. I apologize on that. It wasn't SEIU, it was VASP.
Yeah.
So I misspoke on that.
So
Okay.
do we need to vote again?
Yeah, that's
Okay, sorry. What was
that's
on
my
my
fault
screen?
on that. I have the wrong December agenda up. So we are on the regular business agenda.
Yep.
Item I, number 1, which is recommendation to approve a name for the Early Childhood Evaluation Center.
And this was an item we discussed in the workshop. It looks like the Pam Edstrom and Joe Lamberton Early Childhood Education Center. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
I'm just glad that we were able to get kind of feedback from the family. It looks like they, I know there were different variations of their name. And so I appreciate the family providing feedback on their preferred name for the building.
Yes, agreed. I think we had a good discussion last month. And just for clarification for anyone watching, Tom Hagley did present a bit of information about these individuals in our November 16th meeting, just if you want more context. And I appreciate the family's clarification. I also assume that there will be a fun kind of name that will be the quick reference of this school. So I look forward to that. I'm going to go ahead and vote unless there's any more feedback or questions or comments.
I just want to say that the fact that we have been the recipient of these two amazing people in our early childhood has been such a blessing because as we're aware, early childhood scraps for all the funding it can get. So it's wonderful that these people and these families have supported our district in funding one of the most crucial times in our kids' lives. So it's only right that we acknowledge them. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Kathy. Anyone else? Okay, I'll go forward with the vote. Director Barrows?
Approve.
Director Decker?
Approve.
Director Smith?
Approve.
And Director Zavala?
Approve.
And I also approve. So the next two items on the agenda are first readings in policy. I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Snell.
Yeah, so typically the board waives the right on the first reading, and we'll come back to these in the next meeting, but they are referenced here for the public. And then also I want to loop back to my mistake of posting the other agenda to the shared screen. So the VAESP contract approval was actually in the consent agenda, and so it did not need a separate motion to approve. And so I just want to make sure that I note that and clarify that, because that was I shared the wrong agenda when I pulled that up, and so I want to make sure everybody understands that. So we're back on track. You've done item 1, and item 2 and 3 would be, the recommendation would be to move those to the January meeting for a second reading.
thank you for the clarification and that information. Does anyone have any concerns about moving this to next month? Okay. Next on our agenda is our Board of Directors report. This is an opportunity to kind of talk about what is going on for our Board of Directors. There are two topics that I wanted to bring up. One is the Board of Directors did attend the WASDA conference last month, and I think there was a lot of learning. We shared some at our November 30th study session, but it is an opportunity for us to network with other school districts in our region, statewide. I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot. We did share on November 30th, but if anyone has anything to add. Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is really talking about our meeting format going forward. For those watching, many of our public might remember that when in March of 2020, it was our last in-person board meeting before we were shut down just 4 days later. And then it forced us into Zoom public meetings for several months. And it was the desire of this board to return to an in-person meeting, but we wanted to promote as much accessibility as possible. So we did attempt this hybrid model. There have been technical glitches, but I think that there's been a heavy lift from district staff to make this happen, which we appreciate very much. But I wanted to get feedback from directors. Again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but we have had escalating amounts of disruption in the last several months. For me personally, as board chair, it is so important to hear the voices, and we want to provide access in multiple avenues if possible. But creating a safe and respectful boardroom is priority. So with that said, I'd love to get input in how we proceed forward for the foreseeable future. If I want to add one more thing, which is there's a lot of staff, our cabinet leaders, our superintendent, and all of our support staff that make these meetings happen. So when we have a 60-minute delay, it is an imposition on a lot of people's time. And I just wanted to get feedback in terms of how the directors feel moving forward. I'm going to start with you, Tracy.
I think that we need to consider moving back to a full virtual format. Simply because we have tried to have the in-person meeting and continue to live stream. But you're exactly right. I think the past 3 board meetings we've had disruptions where we've either had to recess or adjourn early, which it's a business meeting. There are, in addition to public comments, there are a lot of things that we are voting on and a lot of things that are time sensitive, and so delays hinder district business being able to move forward. I think that we have learned a lot through our virtual format, and I think the ability to still give public comment through virtual format and still do our business, but being able to reduce some of the disruptions so that we can continue to do the work that we were elected to do is possible through going completely virtual. And the added benefit, as some of our patrons tonight pointed out, that they can't hear us well with masks on, so it solves that problem as well. So I would like to, for us to consider doing our regular board meetings virtually, completely virtually.
Do I have feedback from other directors?
I'll just step in. I have to say that it's been very frustrating for me because having our board meetings disrupted, because when I ran 2 years ago, one of my goals was to actually increase access to the public, to the community. It was also the goal for Director Sproul and the goal for Director Barrows. And because when we ran, there was very little access. And so we've changed the times to make it easier. We implemented the recording so people could watch it afterwards. And we have really worked hard to increase access to the community, to the work that the board does. And I do find it very frustrating that a few volatile individuals continue to make it difficult for other community members to access the work that we do personally. And but as Director Barrow said, if these business meetings are important and there's work to be done and we have to vote on contracts and policies, and when those things don't get done on the day they're slated to get done, then that impacts so much of our school community. And we need to make sure that these business meetings get the business done. And although it really does bother me to not have an in-person forum, I don't see where we can continue to do an in-person forum if when people knowingly interrupt and knowingly refuse to follow the rules that are posted, that are very clear, that they've been discussed. And whether you agree with the rules or not, you know what the rules are when you show up at the meeting. And to disrupt the work of the board is to disrupt the work of what's being done to support our children. So we need to get on with doing the business. I know this is very long, I apologize, but as usual, but I think that we need to go to virtual. It really does not sit well with me, but it's the only way to get things done. Sorry for that length of time.
Any other feedback or comments, disagreement?
I'll go ahead and weigh in. I agree with Kathy. I have a pretty strong loathing of Zoom, frankly. And I just assume do things in person. That is by far my preference. But I worry about a couple of things. I worry that our boardroom is, like Kathy said, kind of distracting us from the work. I think there are people who have kind of misunderstand the purpose of the meetings and are kind of using them as a platform rather than bringing concerns to the board, but rather just kind of airing concerns publicly. A lot of the comments that we hear are not actually directed to the board. But my bigger concern is that it's creating an environment in the boardroom that's not a welcoming environment. And that actually is, I agree that increasing access to the board has always been one of my goals as well. I mean, I'm very proud of the steps that we've taken to make it easier to access the board, to make it easier to share concerns. But I feel like it's almost counterproductive, because I feel like there are people who aren't coming to the boardroom and aren't comfortable speaking to the board because the environment there is not at all a welcoming one. It is a critical one. So as much as I hate to say, let's do remote, I agree that at least for the time being, I think I would like a date where we can reevaluate this so that it's not just an open-ended thing, but that we're being very intentional about it, so that we can revisit the question and maybe, hopefully, we'll feel comfortable going back and doing those in-person meetings again.
Thank you, Director Smith.
I will just agree with everyone's feelings and sentiments. I guess I think just what Wendy ended with is just, I guess I would like for there to be maybe within 6 months, some type of review where we come back and talk about it. Yeah, that's it.
So it sounds like we'll need to put a point on the agenda months out in order to the very latest, maybe our summer retreat where we can reevaluate. It was with great disappointment and frustration tonight. This was the final board meeting of the year that we did have to adjourn preemptively. And I did so out of just consideration of what Wendy spoke to. It's really, we have to be mindful of the atmosphere in the boardroom that we are fostering. And it is our boardroom to conduct our board business and hear from our community, but we need to make sure that it is welcoming and comfortable for all of our community. So, but I don't want to end on a disappointment note. I want to just remind our directors that we've made great progress in terms of accessibility. I mean, if you remember January of 2020, we made it very clear that this was a priority of the board to have video recordings of our meetings, of every meeting. When we came off Zoom, which we didn't have to come off of Zoom and go into hybrid, but it was a priority to restart, and not all districts necessarily did. So we are committed to the process, but I do think for the time being, it might be best, and we'll reevaluate. So I thank you for the conversation. Anything else, anyone on that topic? Okay, the next item for the Board of Directors report is I tasked Director Decker and Director Smith with serving as our nominating committee for the public. We have 1-year terms for board chair and board vice chair as outlined in our policy. And we hold elections in the December board meeting. So Director Smith and Director Decker, I'm going to turn it over to you to share what you've decided.
Wendy, you're up. Or Director Smith, sorry.
All right. Yeah, well, Director Decker and I are recommending to the board that Tracy Barrows be elected as chair and Sandra Zavala-Ortega be elected as vice chair. And it is a great honor to be able to nominate both of you, because I have so much respect for both of you. And I know I have every confidence that you will provide excellent leadership for the board.
And I ditto. I think they're going to be wonderful and a great new perspective. And it's exciting to see us go forward.
Yes, it is. Do I have a motion?
I will move to elect Tracy Barrows as president and Sandra Zavala-Ortega as vice president for the board.
And I will second that motion.
Thank you very much. I'm going to start with a vote. I'm going to start with Director Smith.
Approve.
Director Decker.
Approve.
Director Zavala.
Approve.
I approve. Director Barrows.
Approve.
Thank you
for the
effective January board meeting, Tracy Barrows will be our new board chair, and I look forward to her leadership. So thank you very much.
I would just like to take a moment before we adjourn to just recognize your leadership, Director Sproul. And I would just want to thank you for everything that you have guided us through this past year as our board chair. There has been a lot of transition since the time that you took over as chair in January, or I guess last December. From changing superintendents several times, because we had an interim superintendent there before Dr. Snell came on, and changing our learning styles from remote to hybrid to back in person, changing board directors. You have just navigated the waters very well, and I am honored to have had you as a mentor and role model. So thank you.
Thank you. I am humbled by that, because it was a year of learning for me and a year of transition for all of us. We have absolutely accomplished a lot. So I'm very proud of the work we're doing, and I look forward to the year ahead, perhaps when Tracy's in the center seat. Okay, one last note before we adjourn. On the original agenda tonight, we were going to recess to executive session. In the interest of time for our staff, we are going to postpone that to a later date. So there is no executive session tonight. So this is our adjournment. I just want to wish everyone a happy, healthy winter break. Stay safe, everyone. Anything additional, Dr. Snell, that you want to add?
I'm just wishing everyone the best and thanking everyone for the meeting this evening and for the year to date.
Okay, excellent. Well, everyone have a great night and thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you.